Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, 9 bodies recovered, 7 others rescued in Adamawa boat mishap. Rivers State Governor Fubara suspends monarch, places 100 million naira bounty on suspected killers of Rivers Divisional Police Officer. Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau begins probe after aircraft skidded off runway at Lagos Airport. And away from Nigeria, death toll from powerful earthquake in Morocco kills more than 1,300 people after 6.8 magnitude tremor strikes near Marrakech. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Abdurrahman Umar. Thanks for joining. And now the news. 9 dead bodies have been recovered and 7 others rescued out of the 30 persons drowned in 3 different canoes at Jua Lake in Rugenge village of Yola South local government area of Adamawa State. The canoes reportedly capsized due to a heavy windstorm that stirred the waters. Silas Lowen reports that the incident happened when the victims were crossing to Yola Town for their routine businesses. The report.
Although cases like these are not new to this community, as a result of the frequent overflow of water along the river Benue, the sad development, however, threw the Rugenge community into mourning. The community called on the government to provide the people with bigger engine boats in order to avoid the yearly loss of lives and properties. Marine police officers alongside local divers are helping in the rescue operation. Authorities say they are on top of the situation in terms of rescue and recovery.
As of yesterday, 9 people were rescued. 2 deaths was recorded, and today 7 dead bodies were recorded. 2 are still to be undiscovered. Number of dead, 2 are men, while 7 are women.
Adamawa State Deputy Governor Khalif Tafwa Farauta, while on a sympathy visit to the community, expressed sadness over the development and assured of government's immediate intervention.
This is not a mere loss, but a great one, not only to you, the state in general. Please, in order to avoid future occurrence, be careful whenever you are embarking on such journey. Government will provide an alternative to you. Indeed, this is a great loss to all of us.
Monica Rugenge is one of the survivors. While narrating her ordeal, she described the incident as the will of God.
Among 20 of us, the passengers, glory be to God, I was the only survivor. It was a sad incident. We lost our brothers and sisters.
Recall that sometimes this year, 3 children from Wuro Dole community near Wuro Chakke in Yola South local government area of Adamawa State drowned in the same lake, while their corpses were later recovered the following day. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
K.D. Kamal, the woman whose kidney was allegedly removed by one Dr. Noah Kekere of Murna Clinic and Maternity Hospital in Jos on Friday, has explained how a doctor discovered her kidney was removed. The victim told Trust TV that her kidney was discovered missing following a complaint to a doctor in the Jos University Teaching Hospital about persistent abdominal pain she has been experiencing, adding that she was thoroughly examined and confirmed that her kidney was indeed removed. Adam Musa completes the report.
This is Murna Clinic and Maternity, located at Enshanu community of Jos North local government area of the state, where an appendix operation was said to have been carried out on Kende in January 2018 by Dr. Kekere. The family of the victim said the doctor had originally told them that an appendix was discovered on Kende which needed urgent operation, alleging that, unknown to them, the doctor removed Kende's right kidney during the operation. On Wednesday, The husband of the victim, Bushari Kamal, accused Dr. Kekere of removing his wife's kidney. Efforts to get the reaction of the accused doctor, who is currently in the police custody, were unsuccessful. But the spokesperson of the State Police Command, DSP Alabo Alfred, says they are investigating the matter. Kende explained how a doctor discovered her kidney was removed.
The time when the doctor moved the appendix, he showed me, I said, Kai, don't give me injection. I don't know that time. I might show my husband. Okay, do my time that he stand up. I can't stand up, sit down. You can ask me, say, you can tell me, say, Madam, don't move your one kidney. Man, kidney? I don't know, let me go and ask my husband. I come out for that hospital. I just to come. I can't call my husband for phone, shut up. I don't come out for hospital. I mean, they tell me, say, my husband said, to time when doctor come out the appendix, you say, I'm told. I mean, the time say, doctor come out something for my stomach. What thing come out, the thing come out appendix? Appendix, it come out kidney. Kidney? Ah, shut up. Do a doctor tell me that.
Kende further explained that she was never in her lifetime admitted in a hospital or underwent surgery until 2018, when she was first operated by Dr. Kekere.
As first born, now for due to I born now. I go on Sunday, I come out on Monday. The second daughter I born, now for us I born now. The third one, the day I go hospital for born, now there I come out.
The husband of the victim, Kamal Bushari, while reacting to the incident, called on security agencies to ensure justice for his wife.
Well, since 5 days ago, I couldn't sleep up to right now, and I could not even eat anything. So what I want now is I just want the relevant authority to do the justice on this matter.
Hundreds of teenagers across the globe were enticed and exploited to sell their organs, especially the kidney. But the case of Kendi is quite different in the sense that neither she nor the husband was informed that her kidney would be removed. And that is why the husband is appealing to relevant authority to come to their aid and ensure that justice is done for his wife. From Jos, Ado Musa reporting for Trust TV.
The Rivers State Governor Similayo Fubara has declared wanted one Gift Opara Apollo and other members of his gang for over the brutal murder of SP Bako and Bashim. Bako and Bashim, the DPO of Ahoda police station, was brutally beheaded by suspected cultists in Ahoda area of the state. Governor Fubara, in a press statement he personally signed in Port Harcourt on Saturday, placed a 100 million naira bounty on anybody that can volunteer information on the whereabouts of Gift David Opara Apollo, also known as Tubaba, and other members of his gangs. The governor has also suspended the traditional ruler of Ahoda, Eze Kesidi, aka Pedi, for what he described as acts of complicity in ceding control of his territory to the suspected cultists. Governor Fubara in the statement stated that credible intelligence from security agencies traced the brutal murder of the DPO to Gift David, also known as Tubaba, and his criminal gang. He said that the suspect has established camps in the locality and are responsible for the resurgence of violent crimes, including kidnapping and terrorism in Ahoda East local government area of the state. In the meantime, the Rivers State Police Command says a manhunt has been launched to fish out the killers of the divisional police officer of Ahoda in Ahoda East local government area of Rivers State, SP Bako and Bashim. The officer was ambushed, killed, and his body decapitated by cultists suspected to be members of the Deadly Islanders cult group in Ahoda Axis of Rivers State on Friday night, when the deceased led his team to the hideout of some criminal gangs operating at Odumode. A statement issued in Port Harcourt on Saturday by the command's public relations officer, SP Grace Irenji Koko, said the Commissioner of Police, Polycarp Wanye, has ordered an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death of the police officer. SP Koko said Bako and Bashim displayed exemplary courage during a mission to combat criminal activities in the Odumode area of Ahoda East local government area of Rivers State. Now, the Special Assistant on Communications to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Prank Shoaibu, has raised concerns over a copy of the Presidential Election Petitions Court (PEPSI) judgment, which has been widely circulated. Atiku was the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the February 25th election and a petitioner against President Bola Tinubu's victory. Since Wednesday's judgment affirming Tinubu's election, one viral copy of the judgment has gained interest due to the appearance of Tinubu presidential legal team in the header. In a statement on Saturday, Shuaibu argued that the PEPSI must explain the development to Nigerians and the world. Respondent President Bola Tinubu's legal team at the Presidential Election Petitions Court has refuted what it described as mischievous claims over a copy of Wednesday's tribunal's judgment circulating online with Tinubu's presidential legal team in the header. The coordinator at TPLT, Babatunde Ogala-San, in a statement on Saturday noted that after the delivery of judgment in the 3 election petitions by the Court of Appeal last Wednesday, the court directed its registry to make physical copies of the document available the following day. He said the Tinubu presidential legal team accordingly applied for a certified true copy of the said judgment and paid the prescribed fee. Ogala added that lawyers for PDP were present at the registry at the same time to collect the same judgment. He said on collecting their copy, they immediately scanned and watermarked it with inscription Tinubu Presidential Legal Team TPLT before circulating the scanned soft copies to the lawyers in their team. Now, following the removal of subsidy, there has been a rapid hike in the price of food, especially rice, other grains and services, making Nigerians to groan in hardship. Due to this, the federal government made the provision for the distribution of food items and cash as palliatives across the 36 states. But is this really enough? Emanuela Adeyi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
The federal government had approved 5 billion naira for each state to enable them purchase food items, as well as 5 trucks of rice per state. However, the palliative distribution has triggered mixed reactions among Nigerians.
The federal government have done its own part, and which we Nigerians most of the time we do experience it. This thing have been happening time without numbers. Had it been they share it, if there is a way when they give out anything to the masses that it will get to the root level, we will love it. We don't have problem with it. But by giving it to governors, they don't deliver.
If the palliative are enough, it will be enough if you get to the good hand. The palliative have not got it to the good hand. That is why it's not enough. There is no way you will release 100% to the people and then they give out 1% and hiding the 99 to themselves. And you expect it to be enough.
I don't really see if it's a right thing or not right thing. Because to me, because we are seeing the pastor administrator, when they distribute this palliative, you know, it end up with some governors. It will not even get to the people that is supposed to get to. But I think this, instead of sharing money to governor or sharing the money to people, I think they should use it to do something that people can benefit from, not sharing it to individual.
It's more than enough. We are faced with a lot of challenges. Many families hardly feed 3 times a day these days. So the level of hardship on Nigerians is tough and is uncalled for.
The FCT residents also explained how life has been following the subsidy removal.
Government need to show concern in so many ways. Government have to show concern in many ways because they have to create jobs opportunity. If they create jobs opportunity and people are being paid, the suffering will reduce.
They should improve in the infrastructure. Like ordinary people now, like if you look around, like all these shops now, if there is a constant light, you know, everybody will not even have time of waiting for palliative.
So I want to call on the attention of the federal government to provide buses that could be shuttling within the town, within the city, at least at affordable prices for the ordinary Nigerians like you and me.
Nigerians are, however, hopeful that the government will do more to help ease the pressure in the short, medium, and long term.
Now, multiple taxation has been an impediment to the growth of small and medium-sized businesses in Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu had recently inaugurated a fiscal policy and tax reforms to committee chaired by Taiwo Oyedele to enhance revenue collections efficiency and ensure transparent reporting and boost citizens' tax morale. Chairman of the committee recommends the Federal Inland Revenue Service to collect revenue on behalf of Nigerian Customs Service and 92 other agencies to enable them focus on their core functions. Oyedele said Nigeria's tax gap is estimated at about 20 trillion naira because members of the elite class evade tax. Now, joining us via Zoom to discuss this is Larry Olasukomi, Registrar and Chief Executive of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. Mr. Larry, thanks so much for taking the time to join us on NewsHour.
Thank you, Mark, for having me on your program.
Now, while multiple taxation are mostly out of small businesses, the revenues that are collected are often not remitted. And there are also several cases that have been reported where cost of collection is higher. Now, how do we reconcile all this?
Thank you, Mr. Umar, for this question. Taxation has been a source of government revenue, and government needs to do more in terms of revenue generation. For multiple taxation, presently in Nigeria, we have over 39 forms of taxes within the federal and state government. How do you want small business to achieve the business? So, case, like you said, because of this report, that the government has put together this presidential reform to put together, I'm going to say, appreciation as part of the Institute advocacy, that harmonization of all these taxes to put together to have a very uniform way of collecting taxes and to assist the small-scale business in achieving their objective of running a business in the country.
Now, I believe that it is not something new that we all know that members of the elite class evade tax, just as big businesses get tax waivers in the name of attracting investment and job creation, yet end up with none. What policy option do you think we should have in such a way that the rich and the poor will be made to pay tax that will commensurate with their incomes? All right, it's like we lost Mr. Larry, but we might have him eventually during our subsequent bulletin. Now, moving on. The Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, NSIB, says it has commenced investigation into an incident involving a United Nigeria Airlines plane that skidded off the runway on Friday. According to a statement released by Tunji Oketumbi for the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, the NSIB said the aircraft, which was en route Lagos from Abuja, on landing on runway 18R of Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, skidded off the runway. The Bureau said there were 51 passengers and 4 crew members on board the aircraft, but there was no injury or fatality. The NSIB is, however, soliciting information from the general public in the form of pictures, video, or recording evidence to assist it in conducting a comprehensive investigation. The Bureau said it will release the preliminary report soon. The NSIB is a multi-modal investigation agency charged with the mandate to investigate transportation accidents and serious incidents in Nigeria, with the aim of identifying the probable causes and provide safety recommendations that can prevent recurrence.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. This can only be God. God did it. God did this. God did this.
Madam, please, just say for
Now, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has set up a task force to resolve the challenges facing the relocation of commercial airlines to the new terminal within the shortest possible period. According to a statement by the ministry's head press and public affairs, Olusei Aduteyo, on Saturday, members of the task force are retired PS and ex-director of the Department of Air Transport Management, Hassan Musa, who is the team leader, General Manager, Aerodrome, NCAA, Adebayo Oladipo, and special advisors to the Minister Oyoyo Edipokto and Henry Aberebe. During Keyamo's inspection of the Lagos airport on Thursday, August 31st, he had given a deadline of October 1st for the relocation. However, the management of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, said it had to fast-track the implementation of the directive in response to the recent fire outbreak, which raised safety concerns and affected passengers' movements. It added that the primary objective of this task force is threefold. You're watching the news on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, we take a look at why Kilishi business thrives despite modernity. Details of this and more after the break. Please stay with us.
We don't have the know-how of exporting these yams to other countries. So the highest point we go is Port Harcourt and sometimes Warri.
When we talk about agricultural produce, we look at quality. And what is quality? Quality is fit for purpose.
Getting to the port was difficult because your container can be on the queue for over 30 days. Imagine if you are having sesame or hibiscus for 30 days locked inside a container. So these are some of the reasons why we are having rejection.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the news on Trust TV, and here is a recap of some of our top stories. 9 bodies recovered, 7 others rescued in Adamawa boat mishap. A Rivers State Governor Fubara suspends monarch, places 100 million naira bounty on suspected killers of Rivers Divisional Police Officer. Now to more news. The governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, on Saturday flagged off the construction roads in Gum town. The groundbreaking ceremony had the Vice President of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima, as special guest of the laudable initiatives of the state in its first 100 days. He also graced the official launching of the distribution of palliatives to the northeast states by the NEDC. The report.
The Vice President Kashim Shettima and the Borno State Governor Babagana Umara Zulum were at Ngwam town for the groundbreaking ceremony of the construction of 22.5-kilometer Jere-Bual road network. The road will link Ngwam to Koshebe, Zabarmari, Kademari, and Galameri to Dusuman in Jere and Mafa local governments. The roads will also help farmers to access and transport their farm produce. The duo also joined the Northeast Development Commission (NEDC) for the official launching of this distribution of palliatives to the Northeast states. The palliatives, worth 15 billion naira, comprised food and non-food items. The Managing Director, NEDC, Mohammed Al-Kali, said the food and non-food items are to reduce hunger and address food shortage in the Northeast states.
To key into the President's initiative to improve the food supply, the Commission is now poised to provide assorted food and non-food items to bring some succor to the population of the region. Today, we are going to donate the following food and non-food items, which cost about 50 billion naira, through His Excellency, Mr. Vice President, to all the state governors of the region
for standing firm against blackmail and intimidation. When the last management rounded up their duties, they left behind in their kitty 237 billion naira, which is unprecedented in the contemporary history of governance in Nigeria. The Boko Haram inflicted damages in the northeast to the tune of $9 billion. Borno alone had damages worth $6.8 billion. 956,453 units of private houses, making up 30% of the total stock of houses in the state were destroyed by the Boko Haram.
These challenges from the seemingly issue of insecurity, pervasive poverty, banditry, kidnapping, cattle rustling, gender-based violence, youth restiveness, and unemployment. The challenges seem to be endless, but our collective determination to overcome them remain resolute. Let me use this auspicious occasion to commend our brave military in the fight against the insurgency, which remains unquestionable, while the determination to succeed is very clear.
Bags of rice, macaroni, blankets, mats, and clothes will be distributed to beneficiaries in various northeast states. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Again, Borno State Governor Babagana Umara Zulum has appealed to Nigerians to exercise patience and support the present administration of President Bola Tinubu as it marks its first 100 days in office. He made the appeal when the Vice President Kashim Shettima visited Borno State to commission key projects. Beatrice Kurusi has more.
Before the arrival of the Vice President, Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umara Zulum commissioned a pedestrian tunnel around Gamburu Market. The construction, the governor said, became necessary to address the risks of road accidents and pedestrian congestion. The Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, joined by the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Umara Zulum, commissioned other state government key projects, which include the 3 mega schools of Shuari 2 Community School, Ali Karam T Community School, and Gamburu Liberty Day Secondary School, especially the Shuari 2 Primary Health Care Center. The Vice President and the Governor paid homage to the Shehu of Borno at his palace. Governor Zulum, in his remarks, appealed to Nigerians to exercise more patience with the present administration, saying the government will ensure that Nigerians enjoy the dividends of democracy. He told Borno residents to expect more from his administration.
For you, this administration is only 100 days old. They are studying the atmosphere, and inshallah, in the fullness of time, we shall benefit from the dividend of democracy of this administration. His Royal Highness has mentioned some requests during the visit of the Vice President last time and today, and the Vice President is very much aware of the problems of Borno State, and inshallah, very soon we shall see light at the end of the tunnel.
Some of the painful decisions taken by the government were products of the circumstances we found ourselves in. But be rest assured that in the coming weeks and months, the government will unveil a lot of programs that will touch on the lives of our people. We are here with the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security to explore the wheat production scheme in Borno. I also urge Your Excellency to ensure the restoration of some of our communities that were displaced by Boko Haram, especially the communities of Abadan and Guzamala.
The commissioning of projects in the state is part of the Borno State Governor's fulfillment of his campaign promises and commemoration of the 100 days in office. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
The Taraba State Ministry of Agriculture has officially flagged off the distribution of palliatives with the presentation of bags of fertilizer to farmers in the state. The exercise, which was held at the Taraba State Ministry of Agriculture, is to help improve agriculture in the state. Report.
The Commissioner for Agriculture, Nicholas Oliver Mamisan, at the distribution exercise said the bags of fertilizers distributed to the farmers are not the main palliatives, but the precursor to the main exercise. He stressed that Taraba State has the potential for agricultural development, hence the need for the government to give farmers maximum support for agricultural production.
This ministry is working very hard, so hard, to create another level of farming season, making it 3. So you can farm during wet season. At the collapse of the wet season, you could have an interim, what we call lack season, and then the dry season proper. We are greatly blessed by God. We have great potential for agriculture, and we are doing that to ensure that we get it right.
The state chairman of the palliative committee, Salih Saad, said more bags of fertilizers are expected as promised by the state government for more farmers. Saad added that the distribution was just a symbolic exercise ahead of the main distribution and urged the farmers to remain calm until the required numbers of bags are provided and the mechanism for transparent distribution are finalized.
Quite appreciable number of bags of fertilizers are expected as promised by His Excellency, the State Executive Governor, Dr. Abu Kefas, for farmers for free, with emphasis for free.
The Rice Farmers Association in the state and Sarkin Noman Wurkum, Tanko Babbo Andami, on behalf of the farmers, appreciated the effort of the government and called on the ministry to place a sustainable plan for food security in the state.
Your Excellency, you approve that your word are your word. Our farmers will continue to support your administration to the best of our ability so that the Taraba State becomes not only sustainable in food production, but we become self-reliance.
The ministry called on the committee to ensure transparent distribution of the palliatives to the required beneficiaries.
Environmental experts say human beings are one of the major contributors to global problems, hence the need for a holistic approach to educate people on the dangers associated with natural phenomena. They made the assertion after a one-day discussion on urban innovation for climate change in Bauchi State. Adamoyuma takes it from here.
According to environmentalists, recent weather in the African Sahel region has drastically changed due to the climate changes, with visible effect in some parts of Nigeria, especially in the rain pattern and flood disaster ravaging many communities. In some northern states, this disaster have caused fears among farmers. Stakeholders, however, say this is connected to the human factor, which needs a strategic roadmap on how to tackle climate change in urban and rural communities.
The environment, let us know how to handle them very well. Let us convert them to useful items, to where we can generate natural gas for our cooking and so on. They're very, very important in that.
Use these tools by providing plantations in our villages, because by doing the human activities, badly human activities, many trees are cut within the villages.
In the same vein, Isa Muhammad of ATBU advises farmers to always factor in weather changes in crop planning.
The users of the rain, much users of the rain, should quickly adjust themselves, particularly the planting days. Before now is sometime around April. Now it's shifted from April to June and almost to July.
Regulate some of these compounds that causes climate change. We regulate the use of them. Like for instance, the chlorofluorocarbons. We make sure that they have been changed to the hydrofluorocarbons and what have you.
Meanwhile, Ibrahim Kabir of the State Environmental Protection Agency maintained that climate change is affecting all sectors of human life, saying the people should assist in dealing with the problem through attitudinal change. Adami Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Now, despite being an aged practice, kilishi making is still thriving in northern Nigeria, with people making a livelihood out of it. In this report, Trust TV's Musa Bello tells us about the story of a wave-making kilishi maker who's a graduate of accounting from Kaduna Polytechnic. He met the kilishi maker when he visited the popular vendors on Jos Road, Kaduna, where he was told that despite the cost of living in the country, kilishi making is still paying the bills. Take a look.
Kilishi originates mainly from the northern part of Nigeria and the northern part of Cameroon. It was born out of the necessity to preserve meat for a longer period. Kilishi supply protein enough for merchants traveling through the Sahara for trade. Since then, kilishi is still a prepared meat in northern Nigeria. It's a generational trade to the 34-year-old kilishi maker Mubarak Muhammad, who learned it from his father, who gave him an initial startup capital of 20,000 naira. Muhammad explains the process of kilishi making.
We have a lot of process in the kilishi, but actually I should mention about 2 to 3 process of the kilishi. We used to buy meat in the market. When we bought meat in the market, we come here in our shop, we come out all the parts, bones and whatever, because we are using only the pure beef of meat.
The meat is spread in the sun before roasting for a reason best known to the makers.
To spread the kilishi on the sun because of all these flies that touches the kilishi, and also the kilishi from our own fathers that used to do the kilishi, they used to put it on the sun, to dry it on the sun. After drying it in the sun, we just come and put on the ingredient and dry it on the sun. We just again and come and roast it on the fire. Because of all these germs, all these bacteria.
For almost 20 years in the business, Muhammad says he has recorded many successes.
I am married with 1 kid. I bought a car, and I bought a house where I'm staying with my wife. Actually, I have a lot of success. Also, I go to Hajj with the Kilishi business. I sponsor myself to the school.
Despite being comfortable preparing the Kilishi the old way, these Kilishi makers are still citing weather condition as one of their challenges.
When it comes to rainy season, I have a lot of challenges. When water touches the Kilishi, when there is raining season, when there is anything, if water touches the Kilishi has spoiled.
Though he makes sales here, he also explores social media platforms to promote his business. He advised the youth to venture into business, no matter how small it is, to better their lives. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Bayelsa State has advised political parties and their candidates to massively canvass for support from the electorate if they want to win the November governorship election in the state. The State Resident Electoral Commissioner Rek Obo Efenga gave the advice during his maiden media parley with journalists in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. Friday Peter has the rest of the report.
Commissioner Efanga noted that the commission will not interfere with the electoral process in the state as it is more determined than ever before to conduct a free, fair, transparent and credible governorship election in the state come November 11, 2023.
Taking into cognizance what the Constitution says, what the Electoral Act says, and what the guidelines for the elections would be. That the only way anybody can win election conducted by us is for the person to get voters to vote for them. Every vote will count. We will ensure that the personnel we send to the field are adequately qualified and knowledgeable about the processes of the election.
Efenga further stated that the Commission will commence the distribution of permanent voters card (PVCs) from Monday and advise residents to visit its local government offices for collections.
In registration areas, also known as wards, where we have more than 500 voters cards that have not been collected, those cards will be available at those registration area centers for the voters to collect their cards.
Responding to questions on the security situation in Nembe local government area, the new INEC reg said the commission is concerned about the entire state, stating that they have plans to ensure that electoral materials and their personnel are safe on election day.
We are not only concerned about Nembe, we are concerned about the entire state. Our plan is to roll out the materials for election in every of the 8 local government areas of Bayelsa State, in all the 105 RAs and in all the 2,244 polling units in the state.
The State Resident Electoral Commission (REC) has also commenced engagement with critical stakeholders with a view to conducting peaceful elections in the state. Friday, Ebimobowe Peter, Trust TV News, Yenagoa.
You are still watching News Hour on Trust TV. The news continues after this short break. Please stay with us.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Welcome back, and now let's join Chiamaka Mwafo for Business News Update.
Ratings has estimated the Central Bank of Nigeria's currency swaps with domestic banks to be between $10 billion and $12 billion as at the end of 2022. It disclosed this in a report titled Nigeria's Weaker Reserves Highlight External Risk and Policy Challenges, following the recent publication of the CBN's financial statements. It stated that this was 30% of the country's gross reserves, which stood at $37 billion as of 2022's end and comprised swaps with domestic banks and others. According to the International Rating Agency, this suggested that the country's net reserve position may be weaker than anticipated and emphasized its external vulnerabilities. The credit rating agency highlighted that the CBN financial statements indicated that liabilities as of the end of 2022 included $7.5 billion securities lending, $5.5 billion of which was short-term, and $6.8 billion short-term liability from foreign currency forward payables. Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema will visit China from Sunday. This was revealed by China's foreign ministry, bringing the indebted African country's long-running struggle to restructure its external debt to its biggest creditor's door. Around two-thirds of the $6.3 billion Zambian dollars debt owed to the Export-Import Bank of China, underlining the importance of Beijing's support to an agreement reached in June, enabling debt relief. Zambia in 2020 defaulted on its sovereign debt and became a test case for a debt restructuring framework initiated by the group of 20 wealthy nations during the pandemic, intended to streamline providing debt relief, though it became bogged down with disagreements over which lenders should accept haircuts. The agreement meant the International Monetary Fund could approve the disbursement of a further $189 million in support, part of a $1.3 billion package approved in September. To formalize the agreement, Zambia should sign a memorandum of understanding with its official creditors, which besides China includes the United Kingdom, France, South Africa, India, and Israel, which Zambia has said it aims to do by the second review of the IMF's rescue loan program scheduled for October. And finally, at the total turnover of 2.644 billion shares worth 45.450 billion naira in 44,189 deals was traded this week by investors on the floor of the exchange. Financial services industry measured by volume led the activity chart. The oil and gas industry followed, while the third place was the consumer goods industry. The NGX All Share Index and market capitalization appreciated by 0.91% to close the week at 68,143.34 and 37.295 trillion naira, respectively. 52 equities appreciated in price during the week, with 35 equities depreciating in price, while 68 equities remained unchanged. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
The summit of the group of 20 countries is underway in India and is hoping to reach a consensus on major issues relating to food security, debt restructuring for developing countries, and climate change. President Bola Tinubu, who has been in India for the past week, was one of the world leaders welcomed to the venue of the summit on Saturday morning. Ahead of the summit, United Nations Secretary General called for deep structural reform of global institutions, including of the UN Security Council, which he said were particularly unsuited to face the challenges of the 21st century. Kendi Amadou reports.
Nigerian President Bola Tinubu is welcome to his first summit of the group of 20 countries, which is also welcoming the African Union as a permanent member of the international institution. US President Joe Biden, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and France President Emmanuel Macron are attending the summit, which ends on September 10. However, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese leader Xi Jinping are not attending the summit to avoid awkward face-to-face dialogue sessions with their American and European counterparts. It is indicative of the deep divisions in the global community, which UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has expressed worries about.
Tolerance in today's world, not just as a timeless ideal, but as an indictment of our times. Because if we are indeed one global family, we today resemble a rather dysfunctional one. Divisions are growing, tensions are flaring up, and trust is eroding, which together raise the spectre of fragmentation and ultimately confrontation.
Guterres is particularly focused on the global financial architecture, which he calls outdated, dysfunctional, and unfair. This is why he believes that all these institutions, including the UN Security Council, should undergo urgent reform.
It requires deep structural reform, and the same can be said about the United Nations Security Council. We need effective international institutions rooted in 21st century realities and based on the UN Charter and international law.
On the opening day of the summit on Saturday, the G20 nations adopted a consensus declaration that avoided condemnation of Russia for the war in Ukraine, but called on all states to refrain from the use of force to seize territory. The announcement of the consensus by Prime Minister Narendra Modi of host country India came as a surprise, as the group is deeply divided over the war in Ukraine. Western nations are pushing for strong condemnation of Russia in the leaders' declaration, while other countries want to focus on broader economic issues. Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
The huge earthquake which hit Morocco overnight killed more than 1,300 people and injured at least another 1,800 people, many of them critically, the Interior Ministry said on Saturday. A total of 1,305 people have now been confirmed dead, while 1,832 people were injured, of whom 1,220 are in critical condition, a ministry statement said. 3 days of national mourning were declared in an announcement from the Royal Palace. The meeting was held after Friday night's earthquake, the deadliest to hit the North African country in decades. Hit southwest of tourist hotspot Marrakesh, killing at least 1,037 people and injuring another 1,204, many of them critically. After being briefed by officials, the king ordered the immediate establishment of a commission responsible for the deployment of an emergency rehabilitation and aid program on rebuilding destroyed housing in disaster areas and the care of distressed people, particularly urbans and the vulnerable. President Bola Tinubu has extended his condolences to King Mohammed VI of Morocco following Friday's devastating earthquake, which claimed many lives in his homeland. In a statement by his media advisor Ajuri Ingilele, President Tinubu commiserates with all families who lost loved ones and all those otherwise affected by this tragedy, while wishing a full and swift recovery to those who were injured. President Tinubu assured the government and people of Morocco that the heartfelt prayers and thoughts of Nigerians are with them during this difficult moment of tragedy. And now finally on sports news, Morocco's Africa Cup of Nations qualifying fixture against Liberia has been postponed following an earthquake in the country. Over 1,000 people have been confirmed dead so far following the 6.8 magnitude quake that happened near Marrakech on Friday night, with hundreds left injured. The AFCON qualifier was scheduled for Saturday in Agadir. The decision to move the game was confirmed via a statement released on the Royal Moroccan Football Federation's official website. And now let's join Adini Ajeshafe for more sports news update.
Secretary General of Nigerian Boxing Federation, NBF, Dapo Akinyele says Team Nigeria is ready for tough battles at the Paris 2024 African Boxing Qualifiers in Dakar, Senegal. Team Nigeria is made up of 9 boxers, 6 females and 3 males with 2 coaches. The boxers were selected from more than 20 boxers in 2-week camp. Adeleye said Team Nigeria is ready to pick from the few slots for African countries in spite of the large contingent of boxers from different countries in Africa built to participate in the competition. Paris 2024 African boxing qualifiers will end on 15 September. And in football, Nigeria's men's national football team Super Eagles will begin their march to 2026 FIFA World Cup with a home game against Lesotho in Uyo, Akwa Ibom on 13th November 2023. The three-time African champions will then travel to Zimbabwe a week later for their next World Cup qualifier. Nigeria is drawn alongside South Africa, Benin Republic, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, and Rwanda for a spot in the expanded World Cup to be co-hosted by USA, Canada, and Mexico. The qualifying tournament will resume in June 2024 with Nigeria hosting South Africa before a tricky away tie against Benin Republic under former Super Eagles coach Kano Rowe. The Eagles will take a trip to Rwanda with a home tie against Zimbabwe in March 2025 while they face Rwanda in a reverse tie in August 2025 before a trip to South Africa in September 2025. Super Eagles' final round of qualifiers is in October, away to Lesotho and at home against Benin Republic, same 2025. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Aji Shafe.
Now, before we go, here is a kicker. Nigeria's coup d'etat on July 26 has been backed by military and civilian musicians who are turning out new tunes to match a surge in patriotic fervor. Among them, active military sergeant and star of the moment, Maman Sani Meguchi, hopes to galvanize support soldiers for what they deem a worthy cause. Take a look.
Je fais les chansons militaires pour galvaniser nos vaillants soldats qui sont sur le terrain. Voilà. J'ai embrassé encore très fort la carrière artistique était militaire. Je vis ici, je faisais des chansons, de galvanisation, je vois mes confrères soldats, ils aiment et ils partent à les pousser à partir sur le terrain et pour engager le combat. Je vis que vraiment c'était très bien.
With that, we have come to the end of the News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and to join our YouTube live stream for more trending news, programs, and documentary. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for watching and bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.